attendees, participants, everyone who's joined in. You see a quick rapid increase of people attending the forum. Just to give a couple of minutes, and then we will start with our forum. Thank you very much for joining us. As a quick teaser, we'd like to know where you are joining us from. Just a quick message, you can drop it on the chat, just to mention whether you're from Mumbai or New Delhi or Bangalore or from the south, wherever you are, just drop us a chat. We'd love to see where you are joining us from. Bangalore, Nishank. Hi, Nishank. Who else is on board? You see 22 attendees. Chennai, Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Pune, interesting. Mumbai. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. Where's the rest? Give a minute and then we'll start. We have a participant from the UK as well. Hello to you. Nice. Anybody else from overseas joining us from different hours? Yeah. All right. I think we're good. We're good to start, I suppose. Yeah. All right. Okay. So, namaste, Ayubowan, and good evening. Welcome to each and every one of you. Warm welcome to all to this very insightful online forum on cybersecurity in BFSI, staying resilient against financial threats in 2025. That's what we're looking at. So this event is very proudly organized by Infopercept, one of India's fastest growing cybersecurity companies, making a global mark. Now, Infopercept for you, it has rapidly emerged as a leading force in cybersecurity landscape with its powerful platform of InvenSense, and Infopercept has demonstrated the capabilities of a true Indian cybersecurity powerhouse, safeguarding some of the world's most prominent companies, including top banks, insurance providers, and leaders in the capital markets. InvenSense platform uniquely integrates offensive, defensive, and compliance strategies backed by a passionate team of cybersecurity professionals, as Infopercept is shining example of make India, make for the world vision in action. We're proud, and I am proud to be associated with Infopercept since a number of years now, more than 4 to 5 years, that we've seen them grow in their vision of what they want to do. And these continued forums are in the way of helping and creating awareness so that we can all move in our vision. Right, so today's topic is about cybersecurity in BFSI, staying resilient against financial threats in 2025. We're looking at with cyber threats evolving rapidly, especially in the banking and financial services and the insurance sector. The resilience and the proactive defense are more on the critical side of things. We're looking at our esteemed panel who's joining us on our forum, whom we've already seen, to speak to us on their insights and their experience and their strategies on how do we tackle and we go forward. So that's where we are. That's what we have as planned. So we've got a couple of questions for our panelists. And soon after that, if time is good with us and it has been supportive, we love to open questions for our audience. And then after that, we'll ask our final insights, and then we'll have a great evening. That's how we are planning to start. I'm going to take a minute by introducing you to our panelists one by one. Just before that, I want to have a quick chat with my audience. Is everyone geared? Is everyone ready? Do I hear a yes? No, we can't visually connect, but here we go on the comment section. Do I hear a yes? Yes, we got Shubhang who is ready. Who else is on board? Yeah, we got a couple of yeses. Others are reserved, I suppose. A thumbs up coming in. That's great. We love to hear that too. Yeah. All right. Great stuff. Right, ladies and gentlemen, so we'd like to introduce you to our fantastic and a dynamic panelist joining us today. Our speaker is a highly accomplished technical and strategic leader who counts over 30 years of experience across cybersecurity, IoT, healthcare, telecom, networking, and gaming. And she has held leadership roles in both embedded systems and SaaS enterprises. And most recently, she served as the managing director of CrowdStrike India for 7 years. And she has also led the India Development Centers at WMS Scientific Games and Solidcore McAfee. Currently, she is a strategic advisor, investor, mentor, and independent director for various cybersecurity companies. And she also serves as the chair professor of practice at IIT Jammu, where she shares her expertise in architecture, go-to-market strategies, and product innovation. We're thrilled to have with us today the ex-managing director of CrowdStrike India, Ms. Jilmil Kochhar. Good evening to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sharon, and thank you for a warm welcome. I'm looking forward to this.
Excellent, great. Our next panelist has over 30 years of experience in information security and IT, and he brings invaluable knowledge and strategic depth to this discussion. He's previously held critical leadership positions, including Chief Information Security Officer at NPCI, the Deputy Chief Technology Officer at SBI, and the senior leadership role at Infosys. Currently, he serves as an advisory board at OPL and as an IT security advice and recruitment panelist to few organizations, focusing on information technology and cybersecurity reviews across regulated and non-regulated sectors. We're thrilled to have with us the ex-CISO and PCI, as well as the ex-SBI Deputy CTO and the former senior leader for Infosys. Mr. Anthony Prakash joins us for our forum. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Sharon. Welcome all to the session.
Good to be with you. Good to have you as well. And then we have a wonderful gentleman who's been with us right throughout our journey, whose steadfast vision is to make sure that we grow together. And of course, as the visionary CEO of Infopercept, a global platform-led managed security services company proudly representing India on global cybersecurity stage, he has spearheaded the development of InvenSense, a comprehensive cybersecurity platform that integrates detection, response, and compliance. He contributes to the Infopercept's broader vision by focusing on the 3 key pillars, which is organization-wide vision alignment and the strategic hiring and building and nurturing the external ecosystem. His mission is to make India a significant player in the global cybersecurity innovation. We're thrilled to have with us the Chief Executive Officer of Infopercept. We'd like to say a warm welcome, Mr. Jaideep Ruparelia.
Thank you, Sharon, for the introduction. Welcome all on behalf of Infopercept.
And as for me, thanks to Jaideep and his wonderful team, I'm Sharon Mascrinius, and usually I join you from Sri Lanka, but today I'm based in Australia as I'm currently relocating. I hold 19 years of experience in media and journalism, and in my frame of work, I do host international conferences, awards, and forums, and thrilled to be a part of Infopercept for many number of years for this forum as well. Right. Enough about me. Let's dive into the most important part of today's forum. And we're going to start with, as we say, ladies first. We go with Ms. Jilmil. We have a question for you. As a leader behind some of the world's most powerful cybersecurity platforms, and with your vast experience in building cutting-edge technologies, what key cybersecurity gaps do you believe that still remains unaddressed in the BFSI sector with the current tools and the approaches that we go about?
Right. Thank you, Sharon, for the question. So if I start at the beginning, I think the BFSI industry has a unique challenge. It is in a unique space because it carries a lot of financial data. You talk about PII, the personally identifiable information, account information, transaction histories, as well as proprietary financial knowledge, making it a prime target really for threats like ransomware and APT and various kinds of fraud, right? On top of it, there is the regulatory pressures, right? You need to be compliant to all of the regulatory requirements of the land. There's legacy systems, there is movement to the cloud, and then on top of this, you need the real-time threat detection in order to take care of all of this and the infrastructure that you have. If I were to elaborate on this a little, I would break this up into 5 key areas, right? Firstly, there is an emerging threat landscape, right? The BFSI sector is a prime target for sophisticated cyber attacks, like ransomware, like BlackBite, the APTs, the DDoS attacks designed to disrupt the online services, and various fraudulent schemes designed to infiltrate the systems and exfiltrate the data out of it, right? And AI is not helping. I mean, it's helping, but it's also helping the adversaries to build the nastier threats really fast, right? If you look at the regulatory compliance, whether it is GDPR or it's PCI DSS or country-specific laws like DPDP, the entire industry, BFSI industry, has to comply to this. Non-compliance can mean financial penalties, and it can also mean a loss of operating license. You may not be able to operate in that space. Right? The third area, which is the growing attack surface, which includes legacy systems, right? We all know the banks and financial institutes are loath to change. They have systems which are outdated, which are end of life, and they still keep using those systems. They carry a lot of vulnerabilities. Yes, there is a move to the cloud because of digital transformation. With all of that, your attack surface increases, integration with third-party vendors, whether you talk the APIs, cloud, all of this further adds to the entire complexity of the infrastructure which needs to be protected. Insider threat is not going away anytime soon, right? So the insiders who have the access to all of this information, who have all of this, and if they go rogue, you really don't know. And we've seen examples of that, the kind of havoc they can really cause. Identity, like as a customer, if my identity or my credentials get chosen and that is used to exploit the system vulnerabilities, there is unauthorized access, there is fraudulent transactions, and all of these things happen, right? And ultimately, if there is a data breach, or rather I would say when there is a data breach, because whatever you try to do, data breach do happen, you end up losing customer trust, right? If I'm a customer and I hear about your breach, and I would not want to operate with you. I'm going to pick up all of my, my money and my account. I'm going to pick it up and go to somewhere else. So even a single breach can lead to a catastrophic loss in terms of your reputation, in terms of finances, in terms of, intense regulatory scrutiny, and in terms of, customer attack, facing the customer attack. So protecting the systems, the platform, and the data, it's not, just a checkbox anymore. It's a fundamental business imperative, right? And so when we look at all of these challenges, you ask me, what is the gap? I think the gap here is the fact that no cybersecurity company really ends up handling all of these use cases to solve the problem in the BFSI sector. Yes, they have their tools, but their tools are not aligned towards solving all of these use cases. And that I see as the biggest gap.
Thank you for sharing us that. And it's very evident that even with the growing systems that we go through today, it's a day-on-day challenge that it's like, you have a binoculars plugged that any minute there's something that's going to attack, and you've got to prepare yourself for whatever the challenge that is before you. So thank you, Mr. Amir, for bringing us that and for sharing us on your perspective on the emerging threat landscape and how we can go about with it as well. I'd like to cross over to Mr. Prakash now, just to understand, you've led the cybersecurity at some of India's most critical financial infrastructures, including the National Payments Corporation of India, and being holding for such a big position. From that perspective of a seasoned CISO, what technological and strategic limitations do you see for security leaders working in a highly regulated environment like BFSI?
Okay, first let me, as a ex-NPCI CISO, I need to congratulate them also. About few days back, NPCI crossed the visa transaction volume, and they are the top now in the world. And coming into BFSI sector, there is a related to the question and the limitation of the gap in the technology. I see the threat landscape is the one which we see it is dynamically changing. When it is dynamically changing, the technology skill and the adaptation is the need of the hour. So that is where I see the limitation coming in. But some of the few aspects over the last few years, when I was reviewing some of the cybersecurity performance of the company, we see some of the limitations / gaps, which I'm going to list. One is on the cloud and API vulnerabilities. If I see the cloud adoption is rising, but be the risk as well. See, and according to the Indian Information Regulatory Report, we see 180% rise in the exploit targeting misconfigured cloud environment. That is humongous. And insecure APIs is another important aspect for that. Attackers are gaining unauthorized access through what? One is publicly accessible cloud buckets, poorly secured, what I will tell, admin console. The third, I will tell you, hard-coded APIs, still they use it. And the fourth, which comes into my mind, is in the weak multi-factor authentication implementation. And recently also, last year also, we have seen the other important aspect is the management of the assets. They are not monitored. Some of the assets are not coming into SIM. What happens is hacker takes control of those assets and they take out the data and they publish the dark web. So these are some of the challenges in the cloud and the API vulnerabilities. Second, I think is on the regulatory compliance. See, BFSI sector is very well regulated, but still we see a lot of non-compliance which is arising. And the RBI has come out with multiple master direction. One with the payment security control. Second was on the outsourcing information technology. Third was on the governance and assurance practice. These all combined, if a CISO or the BFSI employee who is working in the security domain, if he takes out this and create a checklist, he should be able to tackle the compliance part with respect to the regulators. Apart from this, there was a DPDP Act as well, which emphasizes on the data privacy as well as local data protection, and which is must for all the organization. The third important aspect, in every forum it is coming, is the employee training. Human error remains a significant vulnerability. Therefore, continuous training and awareness program is necessary. And if you see the data which was published, there is 175% surge in the phishing activity compared to the last year. This is how the humongous things are happening, and the employees should be trained. As a gentleman, ma'am already touched on the legacy system. Yes, legacy system also plays a major role. And they say because about a few years back, one of the banks was targeted of cyber attack, and I was nominated to give them that advice. And when I went through their cybersecurity posture, I saw it was very weak, and they have their own legacy system. There were no people to manage it. The people who have the least knowledge, and they doesn't want to move further. So though it has changed over a period of time, but what I'm telling you, that is also one of the major factor. And the last is the investing in technology. Most of the company fail to invest in the technologies because advanced cyber security threat is coming, and we foresee it. Because such as a rapid adoption in the AI and machine language, we need to proactively combat the threat. So I feel these are some of the aspects and some of the limitation we have in the BFSI sector.
Thank you for sharing us that. And it's good to understand the key aspects, and especially for sharing us that data and facts as to how we move about with it, and also bringing us insights on how how commonly we are open to this. And these are things that we already know. It's just that we are not effectively applying it, especially when it comes to investing investing in technology, things like that actually is important. And then how do you get it across? How do you speak to the subordinate and getting it as a win? And then these are all part of the threats that we are discussing on the complete challenges that we move on daily in our lives just to manage on everything that we do. So that was Mr. Anthony sharing us his viewpoint. And from that, we cross over now to Mr. Jaydeep. We have understand since the inception of Infopercept, BFSI has remained a key focus. And we like to understand, in your view, how has the cybersecurity landscape evolved for this sector? If you can just walk us through the major challenges and how you've transformed over time, because we've known about the journey, but we'd love to have a recap as well.
Thank you, Sharon, for the question. Thank you, Jilmil ma'am and Anthony sir also for sharing your insights. As we all have understood that Jilmil ma'am has been part of CrowdStrike, which is the fastest growing cybersecurity platform. And Anthony sir, great to know that our NPCI UPI is now the world's largest in terms of the transaction. So I'm sure I would have not seen the journey the way both of them would have seen, but I can describe personally how I have seen the banks getting transformed. I started since 2004, where with the banks where we had an opportunity, or I had an opportunity to visit as a cybersecurity engineer. The way the infrastructure was placed, the way the applications were placed was totally different than what we see today. So during those days, it was more of a data center which was in-house for a bank, where you have a firewall, where you have a DMZ zone in which you have few applications, whether it is bank, insurance company, or the stock market, applications specific to their core business, back offices, etc., were placed behind the DMZ, and they were trying to secure with few cybersecurity technologies, of installing a perimeter, installing a server security solution, and they try to monitor those. So that was where I started looking at cybersecurity for this BFSI sector. But then the way things started changing was banks started adopting more and more data center, more and more infrastructure to build more and more applications, started adopting co-locations, they started building their own managed data centers. Then it also moved to different clouds. From clouds, they started building more and more applications. We saw a lot of application around the mobile applications also getting built. As it was very well described, a lot of APIs, a lot of SaaS applications. So things started getting more and more complex. It started increasing in terms of the overall horizontal breadth it is. From just on-premise data center to co-location, and then clouds, mobile apps, APIs, SaaS application. And eventually what was happening with this sector was they were all trying to transform to a platform, whether it is a banking, whether it is insurance or the capital market. They all started building their own platform, which is bunch of applications talking to each other, talking to the application which are built by the third parties. And then also we saw that fintechs also started getting built, which kind of became an interface marketplace for a lot of banking and the other organizations. So it became one place where a user can log in and they can access multiple banks, multiple insurance companies, and multiple capital market companies as well. So things started growing extremely fast in terms of the overall digital landscape, application complexity, and with all the speed that was there, every company had to migrate to become that platform-driven organization in the BFSI sector. And the way things were getting complex in terms of managing the supply chain in itself was where they had their very lean in-house development team. Then the partner development team started. We saw SaaS application giving their own APIs. the third-party developers getting involved, and in many ways, things started becoming complex in nature. And later on, we see more and more cyber attacks. And recently, with now having AI in place, complexities have again increased, where people have started talking about building agents on top of this platform, which again is creating more and more problems. So I saw the journey since 2004, which was very rapid and extremely complex. And now when every BFSI is becoming a platform, it's a difficult problem to solve.
Thank you for taking us through that journey, Jaydeep. It's interesting to understand how important it is and how challenging it is and how we've changed the dynamism from time to time and how we move on from it as well. And from that, I think it's time that we get our audience also involved a bit. And we thought, why not do a poll with the audience to see? And we see a couple of comments also coming through, which we'd love to take. Now, banks are adopting to AI in their workflows, like agentic AI. How can we ensure security? Okay, we'll be happy to take your question in a bit, but let's move on to the engagement session. All right, we got our team to set up the question. There we go. An audience poll for you to click on. Which of the following gives you nightmares? A single choice question for you. Managing security compliance, combating cyber attacks, or both? If you can just take a quick second to click on the audience poll. And if you've done, just drop in a quick thumbs up in the chat, just for us to understand that you've done it. Here we go. All right. Hope you clicked on. Got the team to confirm as well. We'd love to see the answer. Here we go. Both. Looks like 66% says both. And we've got 19% for combating cyber attacks. And yeah, 16% for managing security compliance. Thank you for sharing and joining in our poll as well, as we continue with our questions with our speakers now. Back to Ms. Jilmil, just to understand, we see financial institutions, BFSI businesses have emerging technologies in their sites. But ma'am, do you think they are prioritizing and investing in the right security technologies? This can be very challenging.
Right. Yep. I think we all spoke about the gaps that we see. Jaydeep really spoke about the journey from 2004, and Anthony spoke about what he really saw in the sector while he was, the practitioner there. So I think, once we understand these gaps, now if I'm a leader in a BFSI enterprise, what do I need to do? I think the financial organizations need to adapt a assume breach mindset. We all are going to get breached in order to bridge the gap in the cybersecurity strategy. I mean, yes, like we said, earlier the budgets used to be a constraint, but now, and looking at the situation, looking at how the world is evolving, there is a significant cyber security investment going into this. So how do I translate the cyber investment to better prevention capabilities, to improving the detection posture? How do I ensure my teams are really empowered? How do I reduce the cyber risks? Anthony sir spoke about the fact that, a lot of issues happen because of people issues, because they are not cyber security empowered. So how do we make that happen? How do the security leaders demonstrate the fact that whatever controls I have in place, they are effective, they are doing good, there is continuous improvement, and how do I get really the return from the ROI? So I think that's a broad level question. And again, if I want to elaborate on some of this, one thing I think the companies really need to do is implement continuous threat exposure management. I mean, I was a part of the team, where we were building, the products around this. But this is not just a product. This is a product and a process and people. It's a combination of all of this. It is not a one-time thing that you identify an exposure and you remediate it. It's not the end of the story. You identify an exposure, you remediate it, you validate it, and then this process continues ad infinitum because there is continuous evolving threat landscape like we saw earlier. Now, when you have done that, all of these tools also tell you your risk level. As an organization, my risk is, of course, depends on my business situation, but it includes things like the vulnerabilities in my legacy systems and in my cloud, the misconfigurations of, my Amazon AWS or, whatever is cloud public or private that I'm using, the exposure path that I have, connection to internet, open ports, and, mismanaged passwords, weak passwords. All of this are actually my risk. So all of this add to my risk. So knowing the risk score and figuring out how to reduce the risk score is something the financial organizations really need to worry about. And more than that, I think the cybersecurity companies really need to worry about that. Then I think one of the things I really think is going to be very useful in the BFSI sector is breach simulation. Now, why do you need breach simulation? You need it for two reasons. One is if you have remediated a vulnerability, you want to see that what I have done is right and my vulnerability is actually remediated. Okay, so I simulate the attack and ensure that yes, it has been done. That's one reason. The other reason is to figure out if there is a real breach. How am I going to respond to it? How my organization is really going to respond to it? Is my SOC up to the challenge? Can I really do the incident management in a quick way? And that brings me to SOC automation. Because if there is a real breach or if the kind of risks that you are monitoring, the number of alerts that you will get are really going to be in hundreds and thousands. And if you are going to be seeing all of these alerts, how do you deal with it? A person sitting down figuring out, oh, I have these 10,000 alerts. How do I deal with it? Which one do I prioritize? What do I need to do in order to fix this? No, I would say, go in. That is where, the use of AI comes in. Use AI for rapid incident management. Prioritize these alerts, group that alerts logically, and automate remediation. That's going to be a very, very big win for the BFSI sector. And of course, you need to rationalize the cybersecurity spending. What I have today are these tools good enough? Am I using these tools effectively? Because what we have seen, when I was part of CrowdStrike is most of the tools are deployed, but only 30 to 40% of their capability is being deployed. So why not deploy the entire capability and see what's the value add I'm getting through this? Maximize the ROI on this before investing in more tools. So again, keep one thing in mind that products which score 100% in evaluations like MITRE may not be the best tools in the real-time world operational environment. While I have nothing against these external tools, they are a great validation for the product, but you need to test the tools in your operational environment and ensure that they handle your use cases effectively, right? So I would say choose a product, choose a platform that addresses your need for the faster detection and response, who have a solid CTEM program and experts who can really manage your SOC. If I can do this, then I can stop worrying about this and focus on my core job, which is finance.
I think that's a very valid answer, and that helps us in the long run of any of our businesses as well, especially focusing on the important areas of product, process, and people, and investing the right amount on these areas so that we can avert the risk that we go through, and also what do we do about empowering teams, and what do we do in terms of better prevention. And that's probably what it is that we're looking at. So thank you, Ms. Jilmil, for sharing us that of how we move forward as well. Back to Mr. Anthony Prakash. So you were very instrumental in developing the security framework for India's unified payments interface, deeply integrated with the country's banking ecosystem Now, given that experience, do you believe there's an urgent need for a unified cyber threat intelligence infrastructure that enables the preemptive defense and the collaborative remediation across BFSI?
Yeah, okay, let me take the later half of the question. Preemptive security, I just want to explain what is that. Is a proactive security strategy, meaning the offensive strategy. What does it mean is anticipating and neutralizing the threat before they materialize, rather than waiting for a reactive detection. This is what we do and respond to an incident. If you ask me, if I split before 2020 and after 2020, we are the only players. We do a reactive on detection, and we have the tools for the detection, but there was no offensive security standards or nothing in India. If I say in 2021, I wanted to do that for the NPCA because we are banker and a lot of threats were happening, and I also wanted to understand my efficacy of the system in NPCA. So what are the strategies? So some of the things is on the red teaming. Today, if you see red teaming, every organization is doing. At least I'm telling you, I started in 2021 because it is a double-edged sword. It can give you a good result. It can give you awful result also. So we took one of the major international players to do that, and a lot of learnings are there. So the continuous learning and what I thought we are safeguarded is no more safeguarded. So the continuous churning is necessary because anticipating is so much required, because from a UPI infrastructure, we are servicing so many million volumes, and so caches, everything is there. We have end-to-end encryption. We have multiple APIs coming in between, how they are secure, whether from the outside world, how people can penetrate, how much they can penetrate. These are some of the things which I always foresee, and that is what we are doing, and we were successfully doing it. And similarly, the organization has to also do the pen testing. If they have their own team, they can do it, or they can have the third party as well to secure their perimeter, trust and breach. They can give the authenticated ID to breach their perimeter and go laterally inside also to check the efficacy. That is another important thing. And the other thing is this breach attack simulation, BAS they tell, which came the last few years. That is another jazzy word, as Jimil Man told. See, we have a lot of tools there. How to bring the efficacy of the tool? One time you can do whether my team is doing in the right way, or whether they can, whether the way I have invested in the tool, whether I'm getting the proper ROA. All those things can be checked with that as well. And similarly, the vulnerability assessment also plays a major role. That is there for last 2 decades, but there are still more things to be done with the VA. So when we have this, we can minimize the attack surface and reduce the likelihood of successful breach in identifying the vulnerability, strengthening the system, or disruption of the potential vector before any damage occurs. So coming into the point of unified threat platform, there is things which is been happening as I speak also. There are a lot of multiple entities which is working in collaboration with CERT-In, NCIPC, IDRBT, which have all the banks in their forum, and every quarter they share everything, and the real time also they are doing it. So it is in the phase business as usual, but more things are evolving and more strategies needs to be done because a lot of threats are happening dynamically. And another thing is the remediation and vulnerabilities, which is becoming a major risk in the BFSI sector, because the application and platform is a major important thing, which I feel people are missing. With the VA, if we take, they will take the OS and the perimeter and they tell it is done, but the application also plays a major role. So application remediation is a big area of concern, which we have to do. And to wind up, I will tell you a couple of things. Continuous security threat exposure management and the remediation is the continuous process for any BFSI sector.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. Yes, those very valuable insights as to how do we prepare ourselves for breach attack simulation and what we do, what sort of tools do we resort to, and also how important it is the organizations to be involved as well. And from the audience, I see your burning questions are coming through. And yes, as a request, we'd like to ask you to direct your questions at the Q&A box, which is at the bottom. And also, it'll be good for you to direct your question to your preferred panelists as well. And we'll be happy to take it later on. All right. Having said that, thank you, Mr. Prakash, for sharing us those details. Back to Mr. Jaydeep. In the new era of AI, we're looking at attackers and defenders who have equal access to the advanced tools. They look at new remedies as well. How should BFSI security leaders navigate the chaos of rising threats, the technological complexity, and the compliance pressure? What sort of mindset or structure do you believe that is essential?
Thank you, Sharon, for the question. Overall, as I was describing about the journey, we hearing Jilmil ma'am and Anthony sir sharing their own experience. What is key for all of us to understand is every BFSI company is turning into a platform company today, whether it's a legacy organization or a fintech organization. They are all converting to a platform company. And most importantly, we all have to understand that each of the organization building their own platform is very different. So company A, B, or C building platform will be totally different, and they will be having their own tech stack, own business challenges and processes to be resolved. So that's a major challenge for a cybersecurity industry also, where we have very complex and different platform being built by the BFSI organization. And how do we actually have a single platform which can help you solve the cybersecurity problems as well? So that's a challenge to solve. So I'll start with a presentation from my side. So looking at what BFSI was in the past and present, firstly to see how the banker and the bank robber were looking different earlier, though our designer has made it a cute picture, so it looks like bank robber also looks cute here. But in general, we were able to differentiate banker as well as the bank robber. While what has happened today now is they both are having access to the same technology. They look almost the same, whether it's a banker or a bank robber. So it's very difficult for BFSI systems to detect whether it's a banker or a bank robber or a customer. So it's becoming more and more challenging. And all this time we were discussing about UPI, the overall platform, banking becoming a tech company, and the way things have transformed from traditional bank to digital payments, and all companies becoming a API shop today. Entire banking is served as banking as a service model in itself. And on top of it, the major entry is of the fintechs, where you have interface for every requirement of a bank, and it has become a marketplace, be it the lending platforms to wallets that we see, to new age neo banks, the insurance tech companies, the companies which are settling the claims for the insurance companies, the normal API providers, which enables the fintechs to build the fintechs, and then the investment and trading apps as well. So in a way, we see a huge transformation that has happened from the traditional banking or insurance or capital markets, and everything has become a complete platform. And the way the overall digital economy is looking at this is there is a huge potential for fintech. In $1 trillion is a kind of economy that everybody is forecasting, but then it is also creating a huge pressure in terms of how do we secure against all this digital cyber attacks that are happening continuously. So today, if we look at bank, the past and the present today, then banks had apps earlier when it all started to get digitized, but now it is apps having banks. Same for insurance. Insurance was bought. Now today insurance is embedded on the apps, whether you are using your travel apps or your shopping apps, etc. Insurance is getting embedded. Same for the capital markets, stock markets. Trading happened on exchanges, but now exchanges are embedded in APIs and apps. So everything is transformed into a platform with all three different industries that we talk when we talk about BFSI. And then the core regulation, the RBI, SEBI, IRDA in India, and the finance ministry, which is the core regulation for the entire industry. And world has completely changed. Every company today will have a very complex landscape, from the on-premises to different hyperscalers to their endpoints, social media, usage of the ATM systems, the POS systems in terms of the OT, IoT, the applications that are built. Earlier, it was one way in building the application, then it became different ways, and now you have so many ways in which you are building apps. Building on containers, microservices, serverless, using other APIs and the SaaS platform to build the apps, and the third-party ecosystem, the partner ecosystem, plus the mobiles that are used. And now with this Gen AI getting introduced across the landscape is creating more and more challenge. And every finance company today is completely relying on the overall digital landscape in itself. And as per McKinsey, there will be a huge amount of usage of Gen AI in this sector precisely. And I see somebody in the audience asking that as well. So that's going to be more and more challenging. And just a snap of how these are being used in terms of the AI capabilities. They're using their own knowledge base to generate certain output, storing it in the vector database. Again, the AI being used to prompt, build certain applications, get certain answers, the agents getting built to automate, employees working on those. So it's becoming more and more complex with AI being used. And the major challenge is with all the digital transformation, you have a great power, but it comes with a great responsibility as well. So cybersecurity has to be core, and we have to have the right way to solve this problem as well. So we see two major ask of every CISO and major challenge of the BFSI sector as well. One is the sophisticated cyber attack and the stringent regulatory compliances. And on the regulatory compliance, the way we have seen this is it started with certain amount of ask for all the BFSI clients, but then it kept on increasing in terms of number of controls to be implemented, in terms of the regular assessments to be done. We are talking about breach and attack simulation. So now it is totally moving in a direction where they are describing and asking to do various threat analysis, exposure assessment round the year and submit it back to the regulator, because we see cyber attacks, complex cyber attacks happening every now and then. So that's how the regulation and the attacks are also completely aligned. Just snap off few complicated, sophisticated cyber attacks. So actor vectors across the BFSI operations, core banking for banks is the main system where there are a lot of attacks which we see in terms of ransomware attacks happening, where the data is getting encrypted, insider threat as mentioned by Jill Milman, it will never go. So it is also something that happens continuously. Supply chain, because again, this application are quite dependent on the ecosystem, a lot of integration that we do with the third-party systems, a lot of codes that we integrate with the existing core banking to build a platform from our core banking. So in a way, things are becoming complex and we see different kinds of attacks on the core banking systems. Same with the payment processing, a lot of APIs getting exploited. We see a lot of man-in-the-middle attacks happening. In terms of the digital financial services apps, application vulnerabilities, what was very well described by Anthony sir as well, that remediation is the key, because we see a lot of application having vulnerabilities reported by various testing tools or the testing providers, and then that are not getting remediated for a very longer duration, and which is getting exploited. Credential theft again is something which will never go. Session hijacking in the application also is something that we see happening still and on a very regular basis. And with the adoption of cloud, the cloud misconfiguration, privilege escalations, cross-site scripting on the applications built on cloud, the partner related attacks in terms of the supply chain, third-party breaches that would happen, and wherever there is a usage of the hardware in terms of the POS systems or the dependency on any other IoT systems being used, that also is becoming a higher and higher risk. And we see a lot of exploits and different vulnerabilities exploited across the landscape on all these aspects. And just relating back to how customers are also targeted with the usage of digital, though may not be something that can be solved by the digital security, but for us to just think of the level of threat, where like in terms of UPI, very recently we were reading an article, and it was the Paytm scanner was being replaced, and the owner of the particular vegetable shop was collecting the money entire day, but was not monitoring on his mobile or the app whether it is getting credited in his account or not. And somebody had replaced the device in itself, and it was getting giving a voice, and he kept on feeling that I'm receiving the money. So that is also something that is again impacting with the usage of the hardwares and the overall IoT systems at the end mile. Same, you have kiosk base which are open, and probably you are trying to receive your money using your cards, etc., mobile, and then probably there are again physical thefts that can happen. And people have come out with some solution in some of the countries and implemented as well, where if you can enter the reverse pin, and it can give a SOS alarm to the nearest police station also. But these are also kind of attacks that can again link to the usage of the overall digital. Then the very recent one, the digital gold transfer, where it was maintained in an app, and it was a fraud, and probably a lot of transfers that happened, and probably it has to be tracked, and then things were resolved. But again, it's a higher risk when you are digitizing everything, and then probably facing challenges on the security aspects. And on the AI side, there is a higher risk of how AI can be a victim of attack, where you can have various ways in which AI in itself can be attacked in terms of the prompt injections and the manipulations that can happen, the adversarial attacks, the model evasions that can be done on the AI. Uh, AI again, like if you are using it and your data can be disclosed, so your sensitive informations can be disclosed as well. We see a higher risk on the model theft. You can see intellectual property extractions as well. Insecure system prompt design. So if you are just allowing AI to be used within the organization and not having the required controls, then that also is something that is getting exploited. We see a cross-domain prompt injections as well, model backdoor insertions, insecure plugins that gets integrated and probably creating more challenges, the context window manipulations, the data in itself is poisoned. So the data training data poisoning attacks. So in a way, the way this AI is creating challenge for organization who starts doing a POC, or maybe trying to pilot with the AI, or maybe thinking to get into production. This in itself requires a lot of testing and a different mindset to solve this problem. we were talking about the applications, the APIs, we're talking about the cloud infrastructure. And now on this, the complexity of AI, where a different understanding, different skill set is required to solve this problem of AI as a victim in itself for an attack. And then on the other side, what we see is AI is used heavily to do cyber attacks as well, because it has made it easier for the attackers in terms of building malwares, building the malicious content. Just with a prompt, anybody can start leveraging it. If you have the right logical thinking, right access to the knowledge base, you can again build your own malwares as well. The defect creations that we see, phishing campaign that can be planned with, which are AI powered, the bypassing filters with LLMs, autonomous codes that are generated for exploits, and again, the AI powered social engineering also. So the major challenge with AI is AI is becoming a victim, plus AI is being used to do cyber attacks. So with AI, it is becoming more and more complex for any sector, not just BFSI sector, to protect them or protect when they are using AI as well. So that's again becoming very, very challenging. And with all of this that is happening in the cyber attack, the regulators have no choice, but they're making it stringent and stringent. So for customer to adhere to this stringent regulated environment also is becoming very challenging. So it was like you had one direction from RBI, IRDA, SEBI, and the other regulators, but today there is a continuous updates. Just like an application, you see continuous updates coming on the overall expectations from the regulator, and they are also having their own audit team to audit the regulated entity coming under them, and they are asking to follow multiple the directions that are released by the regulators. And then on top of it, the central regulation here in India is like 13 supporting, and now with the regulation that we see on the privacy side, the DPDP Act, and for all the customer, the challenge now is like how do they secure themselves against the cyber attack, and how do they comply to all the requirements that are coming in from the regulators, and that too very continuously with the new updates. So now the need for banks is the way banks cared about the CIBIL score, how they can support the overall CIBIL score. Bank themselves have to have their own continuous cybersecurity maturity score. Insurance company calculated the risk for their clients. They have to now look at the attack surface risk for themselves. And for the capital stock market platform, they were talking about volatility. Now the same needs to be thought where how they can mitigate this threat volatility that is there. So overall, the landscape is changing. The expectations of the regulator is changing. The way the cyber attacks are happening also is very rapid, and there are many challenges in the sector. Just a quick snap of what has happened. Earlier, the process was at each level you used to visit and get your transaction done, whether you are looking for a loan or trying to do some insurance. But now it's just one click on your phone and you are able to get it approved. So that's the complete journey that has changed. And what was done in background by the CIO, CTO, and the other CXOs, the digital transformation CXOs that were there. So they were all converting all the apps, building a single platform so that they can have more and more apps sitting on it. And the way things got structured is they got successful in building all these different apps, but then the challenge came in where how do they talk to all the data that is generated all across the different apps and databases across this platform. So all the platform companies started building their own data lake where they want to do a lot of machine learning, AI, and this is all what is happening on the digital transformation journey at the BFSI sector, where they build the platform, then they build the lake, and on top of a lake, they are doing all the AI ML to create constant value for the customers and constant value for the business. So that's the journey in which the overall digital transformation journey is, converting from few apps to a larger platform, creating a lake, and then on top of lake, building everything so that they can create a constant value. So that's the digital transformation journey that is done by the CIOs and the CTO teams. So again, for CISO and DPOs and all the people who are responsible for security, the security leaders, they also have to undergo the same journey to meet the requirement and build the real security posture for their own business platform. So they have to have their own security platform. Then from the platform, again, same like the business data, they have the business data lake. You have to have a security lake, which again can become a AI ML gateway for the security data, and constantly work on the remediation. So continuous threat exposure management, the detection and response, and compliance, all three has to be taken care continuously. And you need to have the access to all this data to ensure that you are able to meet the requirements of protecting against the sophisticated cyber attacks and meeting the compliance requirements as well. So for us also, it was very difficult. As Infopercept, we started in 2014. First 5 years, we built services teams, team for our offensive, defensive, compliance, and optimization. And then we realized a larger need to build a platform. Since we are serving more and more platform companies all across, we thought of building a larger platform from India. So we started building InvenSense as a platform. And from day one, we were very clear that we'll have different modules within our platform so that we can support our customers to cover their cybersecurity needs, their security testing needs, as well as the compliance needs. So we started off with the platform. We built module which is XDR Defender's Brain, which is a combination of SIM, SOAR, EDR, Threat Intel, Threat Exchange, Case Management. And we, with all the services teams that we have built, we also support the managed services on top of it. And we also have partners who can support managed services on our platform as well. So that's the module 1 that we have. Module 2 is the XDR Plus, which is the deception. And we also support on the remediation part with this particular module. The third is completely on the offensive side, which is a combination of attack surface, vulnerability management, breach and attack simulation, and continuous red teaming. And we also support with all the assessments, breach and attack simulations to be done, continuous red teaming to be done, and run the complete continuous threat exposure management, leveraging our OXDR as a module. And we call it as attacker's action because it acts exactly like an attacker, starting the external attack to doing all the internal, and then doing the simulation, and then continuously doing the red teaming to see where the systems are failing. And then the module to support on the compliance, whether those are the regulated compliances or the ISO compliances, PCI requirements, or the other NIST, etc. requirements. It helps to do the risk assessments, creating the policy procedures, maintaining the overall compliance, the control metrics, the tabletop exercises, third-party risk assessment. So it supports on the overall compliance requirements to maintain and optimize the existing implementation of various compliances. And most importantly, we have been working completely as a platform where you can choose which module you want to implement. You can choose how the integration needs to happen with your existing technologies that you have in place, whether those are the basic hygiene technologies to the IAM technologies and the data security related technologies. You can just integrate with the platform and build the required use cases. So the way this has been supported is you design the overall platform with the existing stack. You can bring in the InvenSense stack, and you can build use cases as per your needs. So the challenge was, how do we solve this problem where each platform is different and there are requirements to build the very personal specific use cases. So we support, and the overall key strength is to build the use cases specific to the environment. So that's the kind of strength that has been built with the platform. A little step of how the overall platform looks like. The InvenSense, that is, again, as you all understand, is something that is built from India. So just like what I was describing about the way banks has evolved from building apps and then building platform and then building lake for the business data, running the AI/ML gateway on the business data, and then finally doing the agents now. So what we have done with InvenSense is we started as a complete platform, which we reached a good stage in terms of supporting a lot of customers, not only in India, but globally. And then we realized that there is a larger need to support the unification of data and building a lake to have a same schema of data all across the different security stack that the customers would be using, because there is almost around 30-40 technologies that a mid-sized to enterprise customer has started implementing only very specific to cybersecurity. So the way we have supported is we are helping to transform all this data to a single format, single schema, which is OCSF. So we have our existing technologies already transformed to OCSF and helping customers to transform their existing stack to the OCSF format. And once the lake is created and you have data from your different security stacks, could be your basic hygiene prevention technologies to your detection response to improvising detection response, all the offensive security tools, security testing tools that you use, and the compliance data. So all of this goes on the single lake. And if this is structured well, transformed to all OCSF, then it gives a good variety of use cases that you can build for your own environment as well. So it helps, and it is completely aligned to what is happening in the BFSI sector, from having their own platform to lake, and lake to building all the AI/ML and very specific use cases to support the customer ecosystems and creating values. Same way to have the right value coming out of your security investments and security data. The data lakes, security data lakes are created, and we support to build various use cases on top of this security lake. So just a graphical snap of how things will happen. We have leveraged AWS to build lake, but we can build lake for BFSI customers on any of the hyperscaler, or it can also be on premises as well. So we support both the models to build your own security lakes as well. And most importantly, the major challenge that we see with introduction of CTEM as a program, a lot of technologies talking about CTEM as well. We see a lot of application security vendors also talking about it, but then there is a constant challenge in terms of remediation. What we see is there is a huge delta on the remediation side. You have all the security technologies, reactive security technologies, preemptive security technologies, platform consolidation that has happened. People talk about AI/ML, but then when it comes to the application could be the normal monolithic application, the traditional client server application, or the cloud native being built on microservices, serverless, SaaS applications, or the new age applications that are built in terms of the IoT apps or the blockchain or AI native apps or AI driven apps even. But then there is a huge gap that is there on the remediations of the applications. We see a journey where there are solutions which can help you do the static code analysis, dynamic code analysis, interactive assessments. You can also do the repo security on your DevOps as in pipeline and build a DevSecOps process as well. You can do supply chain assessments, IAC scans for the cloud environment, the CSPM, API scans, various vulnerability scanners that are available for the infrastructure also. But at the end, what is happening is you can see vulnerabilities, you can see applications getting increased, you can see the vulnerabilities getting increased day by day, but then there's no attention or major challenge around the remediation, where you need to have real remediation team or remediation technology to help you remediate. Because now what has started happening is it's not just cyber attackers who are constantly exploiting the vulnerabilities and probably you are facing the cyber attacks, but then now the SLAs are also set by the regulators to remediate the vulnerabilities in the application stack and the infrastructure stack. So remediation, again, as it was already mentioned by Anthony sir, it's becoming extremely a bigger challenge for the platform companies, cybersecurity companies to solve for their customers and for customers to solve it for themselves. So for us as InvenSense, there are a lot of automation that we are working on, how we can help customers to remediate. We are also supporting customers to build a remediation team as well, so that we can support on the overall remediation journey for our customers. Just thought to cover a few case studies that we have solved for various customers in different geographies. Starting one of the banking customer coming across an SOS situation, hit by a cyber attack, and they needed a partner to build a overall maturity for them, bring in the right technology stack and support on an ongoing basis to improvise on the overall cybersecurity score and the cybersecurity exposure that they had. So we supported a banking client with an SOS situation to now build a good maturity on the overall detection and response, on the overall continuous threat exposure, and supporting them on the various compliances that they need to adhere to. A customer in the GCC, where it was a bank in Saudi Arabia, where they had a requirement for upgrading their existing SAMA score. So SAMA is a regulation there, the way we have RBI in India. So they had an ask that they need to go from SAMA score, which is 2 to 4. And they had tried everything to improvise on the overall SAMA rating, but then they were struggling, and they leverage our InvenSense as a platform, our teams to support, and we had helped them to reach to a SAMA level 4 for now. And we are also targeting to move to the next level, which is the final SAMA 5 as well. And a fintech which was built in India, one of the very critical, and they had the requirement from the banking ecosystem, their actual banking customers, to build a solid cybersecurity, and then the integration gets in place and the fintech can go live. So we supported to build the secure by design for them in terms of the overall infrastructure, their code security to the overall platform security. And now we are also building the security lake for them. So it's a complete journey. The way fintech evolved, we also help them to build the overall cybersecurity as well. Then a customer in Europe, where it was a fintech which got a huge investment, and investor had asked that you will get your funds coming to you only once you comply to the cybersecurity requirements. And they approached, and we helped them with the InvenSense platform, all the services that are required, all in terms of the continuous threat exposure, the continuous detection response, maintaining their few of the cybersecurity technologies that they had invested, and also supporting on the application remediation for them. So that's how on various different supporting. One of the insurance company in India, which had a higher push from the regulator that they need to remediate the vulnerabilities of their application stack. roughly around 100 business application, and they had a push for the 20 critical application to have the SLA in place to remediate vulnerabilities within 45 days first, and then it got reduced to 30 days. And earlier they were not even able to remediate the vulnerabilities up to 1 year as well. And we were able to support and bring it to the expectation of the management at the insurance company and at the regulators end as well. One of the largest insurance company based out of Malaysia, one of the largest of Asia as well. And they had a larger third-party ecosystem, and they wanted a player which can bring in a technology and can do a third-party risk assessment on a continuous basis. We supported with InvenSense GSOS as a module to run all their third-party risk assessment, and with a team required so that we can constantly support on the overall third-party risk assessment as well. So as we had been hearing from senior leaders like Jilmil Madam and Anthony Sir, yes, there is a larger challenge in terms of cybersecurity with BFSI sector. But then if we have the right approach, it is still a solvable problem that we can solve together. But it's about how we approach the problem and how we solve it. But with all the kind of guidance and support that we have been getting from our advisors, the team which has been building this platform, and the customers, we have been able to help a lot of clients with a technology which is built from India and for the globe now. So this is just a snap of what we are doing as InvenSense and how we are supporting BFSI and the other sectors to solve the cybersecurity problem. And we are doing a larger event very soon in Bangalore on 21st of August, and a larger event in Mumbai on 12th of December. So soon, all of the people who are attending this webinar will receive an invite. And if you are based out of these locations, we would be very happy to host you in our events as well. Thank you, Sharon, and over to you.
Thank you, Jaydeep. Awesome presentation. Love the case studies and the journeys, and also the kind of product process that we're looking at in every aspect. And it's important that we cover up everything, and you've given us a very broad detail. And thrilled to have our participants still engaging online, listening to Mr. Jaydeep. We have a quick poll for you before we release you as well. If you can take a minute, we've got the team to support us with the poll. And here's a question coming up on your screen. Your current cybersecurity stack composition covers, what is it? Are you looking at defensive or offensive? Or are you looking at offensive, defensive, and compliance? Or offensive, defensive, compliance with AI, or all compliant? A quick dab there, and just click on the kind of preferred answer that you are looking at, and then we'd love to see what the audience perspective as well. How are we doing in terms of the results? Interesting. Okay, so we've got a complete breakdown here, and we look at 47% with offensive, defensive, and compliance. Interesting to see how much we have 27% with AI as well, and the rest for all compliant. Thank you. Thank you to the team for helping us out as well. Well, time has run, and we appreciate you being online still. If you still got questions, please take a minute or two to send into the Q&A, and our panelists will be happy to send them as an email to you back, or happy to reach them out to you as well. And also to quickly say thank you to our panelists for joining us online as well. Ms. Jilmi, as always, very supportive. Thank you for sharing us your insights, your strategic perspective on product innovation and the critical need for vertical specific solutions. Again, to Mr. Anthony Prakash as well, thank you for joining us. We're very honored and valued to have you with us on board. Your first-hand knowledge on securing complex and large-scale financial systems, which is very important that we valued your time here. And also to Mr. Jaydeep for taking us through that presentation, and also reflecting on how the cybersecurity journey of BFSI has involved as well. And a quick check to our panelists. We'd like to get a quick round of your perspectives before we release you and before we close for today. We would like to start with Ms. Jilmi. Any thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Firstly, Jaideep, great presentation, and I'm so glad to see, InvenSense make such great strides in the areas that you mentioned, right? So just to summarize, I think BFSI is a critical area because of the data and its compliance requirements. If I'm the leader in the BFSI, I want to focus on finance. That's my core business. I want to leave cybersecurity to experts, like Jaideep. And this, I think, is a big opportunity for this domain, for all the cybersecurity companies to build a platform that can support, like in Jaideep's words, offensive, defensive, and compliance with AI. So support the use cases in a way that the investment that I'm going to be putting in it is really worth it, and provide that strategic, vision for my cybersecurity and offer expert support. Thank you.
And Mr. Anthony Prakash, your views?
Good, Jaideep. The presentation looks awesome. See, some of the thought with respect to the BFSI security or sector is to tackle the multifaceted security challenges. What through the presentation, what I could see is the comprehensive security strategy to encompass the various approaches is what I could see. Example, leveraging the cutting edge technology or aligning with the best practices. You have the system in place. By integrating the robust cybersecurity measure and risk assessment methodology, I see the company can enhance their overall security posture and safeguard the sensitive data or even solving the cybersecurity. This is one which covers the entire gamut for the BFSI sector. And I think InvenSense and Infopercept is a good example for this.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. And Mr. Jaideep?
Yeah, thanks to the audience who stayed up till the end. Looking forward to learn from everyone and see how we can help each other. And most importantly, want to relate to the learning that we had before the session. So we joined a few minutes before to sync up, and there was something that Jilmil ma'am told and which relates to the cybersecurity industry also very well. So she was talking about she's staying in an apartment, and she already has a backup, the electricity backup that is available at the central level on the society. But then probably to ensure that there is no downtime and resiliency is maintained, she got a Wi-Fi battery backup, the power bank for the Wi-Fi in itself. And she was talking about that normally UPS costs more, but then there is a very specific device that is available to support Wi-Fi backup systems. So in cybersecurity also, it is very much the same. She talked that it is just 1,000 rupees you get a UPS backup for your Wi-Fi, but then probably the normal UPS are quite costlier than 1,000 rupees. So in cybersecurity also, what we see is there is so many technologies and so much of marketing that is happening. But what you really need to do is you need to sit and understand what exactly is your use case and how do you solve that use case. And based on that, you should be adopting the cybersecurity platform and a particular component which can solve your use case. So that's a major need. Got a learning and thought to share before we sign off. And once again, a big thank you to all the audience who have joined from various regions, and looking forward to see how we can learn and help each other.
Thank you, Jaideep. Thank you. And I think you covered my part as well. Thank you to all our international attendees as well as our local attendees for joining us here today. We've been with you from the inception, and some of you are new, and we're really grateful to have you all with us on board. And thank you to our panelists once again for joining us as well. And also to our valued participants, please join us if you can in August. And yep, the details will be available on the website as well. This forum was not just about identifying the gaps, it was also about creating a shared vision for progress. So on behalf of Infopercept, We hope today's session has inspired new ideas and has fostered connections and has sparked meaningful conversations within your organization. So please take them back to your colleagues, to your bosses, and share and bring in so that we can support people, process, and your organization as well. So until next time, stay secure, stay resilient. And while we say thank you for joining us, I'm Sharon Mascarenhas, grateful to have you on board. Take care.